something that I think is so cool that I want her to share that. And then we are going to jump in to the book that we're going to be doing a study of called You Are a Badass at Making Money. And I love this book. Can't wait to get started tonight. But Kathy, will you share the story of what you're doing that you told me about this morning? And you got to unmute, sweetie.
Can I get undressed?
Yes.
We're gonna be showing.
It's not showing anything.
Is that better?
There you go.
I have talked myself silly today. And before I get started, I want to welcome MC to the team call tonight. I'm just so proud you're here. I know you've got a busy life, but Kimball called me today when she had told us about how the company was going to be taking out our names off our customer list of people that had not purchased. I wanted control of that. So I went in online and I printed a little sheet. I went to my customer list and I clicked on their number, let's see what their number was. And I made a little printable form and I printed each one on a separate form, which gives me a worksheet. And because we've come through almost a year with this pandemic, I just took a deep breath and I started calling. I call a few every day. Many I'm leaving messages, but when I get them in conversation, I say, this is Kathy Reynolds. And I know somewhere in our past we have met because I have your name, your phone number, your email address, and your mailing address. And I said, I don't know if you remember me. How are you? And they start talking. They say, well, I don't remember you at all. Or how in the world could we have met that you have all this information? And then I go into, well, I'm a health and wellness consultant. And I know that we had a meeting at Joe and Mima's. Had you ever been to Joe and Mima's? Did you ever work there? Well, yes, I did. And then we just start from that. How are you? What are you doing these days? And I use the pandemic in my favor because it's been a year. They don't even remember me anyway, so they have no idea how we've met. But it's a point to reconnect with them. And I have nothing to lose. I have a 50-50 chance of getting a positive reaction from them if I try. And if I don't try, I have 100% chance of never making a connection. And I did a couple of calls for another team member that was very busy. And I said, well, give me a few names and I'll call for you as one of your team members. And I've been leaving messages and talking with people. Well, I haven't actually talked to any of those yet, but it sure loosens you up if you have nothing to lose when you're trying to help somebody. I think your intention is good. So I think we should all do that. I mean, I'd like to see, I'll be glad to take any of my team members that want me to do 3-ways with them, and we'll just cold call from a 3-way standpoint, because this is so energizing to feel like you're working down your stack of names.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I love that. I'm not exactly sure when the new website is going to fire up. As of today, and I forgot about that. I was so excited about it, but today's been a long day. I've been busy all day. But it is now where you can go in and go to the new website and learn how to get around on it. It's good. Supposedly, it's going to go live sometime in April. And I say supposedly because in my life, I've been through lots of new platforms with from everywhere from when I was working in a hospital as a new graduate nurse all the way till today. And I know that when they come out with new things computer-wise, that sometimes it's kind of hard. I also want to thank Patricia Desjardins. She's on our call tonight, and I'm happy she's here. And Kara Reed wanted to hear about the Badass Making Money book that we're going to be doing. So that's where we're going now. And for you all that don't know, You're a Badass at Making Money. Jen Sincero is the author. And I really love this lady because she has a great style of writing. She's actually got a whole series of books, You Are a Badass. And I came across this because I'm a part of a women's group that we do books, book studies. And we first did the You're a Badass. And so then we were going to be doing this book first. And when I got into it, I really loved it. Now, you all know that I'm a psychotherapist coach in my other life. And so I do lots of people development. So I'm going to tell you, if you get this book and you study it, or when you get it and you study it, because we're going to be doing it in here, it won't be lots of terribly new things. I'll bet at some time you've heard this stuff before. But she's got a great way of storytelling and getting things across. And it really struck me that this is an important piece. People that have hard time making money usually have beliefs about money that keep them from doing that. And tonight on Entrepreneurs More Being Called, it was a discussion about whether you sell at retail or you sell at wholesale. We sell at retail because, you know, that's just how people sell things. You don't go into Walmart and they say, would you like the wholesale price? And if you buy from your friends that sell Mary Kay or whatever else direct sales, they don't say, did you want me to sell you that at wholesale? They just give you the price, you pay it, and that's it. But when people have been in jobs and they're not used to asking for money, they have trouble with that. For many years, when I taught at Carolina, I precepted people who were back in graduate school becoming therapists, and they couldn't take any money, but I made them ask every client that they saw for $1. And it was set up when they had someone, and then they had to give the $1 to me. And the reason for that is nurses are really the worst. They feel like they're supposed to be Mother Teresa and never get paid. And if they work for a hospital, then it just comes in a paycheck, and they don't see the connection of I give with value and I get value. So I really needed them to learn how to put that dollar bill, ask for that dollar bill, and put it in their hand. And I thought, you know, this is something that we all need, because a lot of you have not always been entrepreneurs. And so tonight we're going to go over chapters 1 and 2, and then we're going to have a short discussion about how we're going to handle this after that. And I've already got it set up, chapter 2. Well, I'm doing chapters 1 and 2 and 2A. And then the next time we do the study, Cece will be doing chapters 3 and 4, which is Show Me the Money and Best Practices for Busting Yourself. And then 5 and 6 are going to be Barbara, and that's Hollering of Your Heart and Your Mental Moneymaker. And then 7 and 8, that's going to be Kathy Reynolds, Faith and Gratitudinal Goal and Decisive Action, The Choice of Champions. And then there's 3 other nights that we'll do study, and I'm hoping that some of the others of you in here will want to teach those. But I think it'll be a lot of fun, because there is something you learn in a different way when you're going to teach. And I think most of you know that when I bought my first H&R Block franchises, I'd worked in the business since I was 14, but I had never taken the tax class. And I not only took it, I took it for myself and taught it to all the people, the employees that worked for me in that first year. And I had about 25 people that I taught. And I was teaching information I had never studied myself. And when I sold it at 30 years, there were 2 employees that still worked that were in that very same class. And they always talked about what a great teacher I was. And to this day, neither one of them know. I'm going to have to come clean with Gloria. She and I have been best friends, but I have never shared with her that when I taught that first year, I'd never taken the class. So never be afraid if you're asked to teach something that you haven't learned yet, because you can absorb it, learn it, and then teach it. And there's something about teaching that really makes it go in deeper. So we're going to start going over the first chapter. And the first chapter is allowance. And I don't know exactly what you think about what allowing means, but in order to have money in your life, you've got to allow it. You've got to give yourself the option that having money is okay. Now, there can be a lot of reasons why you think that having money is not okay. You might have grown up in a family where there was a lack of money and your parents fought over money. You might have grown up in a family where one person hoarded all the money and there was a big fight if anybody wanted to spend. Or you could be like me. And I was sharing today with Kathy that when I was a little girl, and whenever I talk about this, I see myself back in church, the first church I was ever in. And we moved out of that church when I was 10 because they built a new building. And the preacher saying it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven. And I tell you, Kathy's got a really good story because a lot of the things that are in the Bible are there not to make us think something that's bad, but to address something that was a part of that time. And Kathy's got a really lovely story she told me about. But it gave me a feeling about money, and it kind of put a mojo on me that was not a good one. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing in this is you've got to learn to open yourself up to those abundance and allow yourself to create the wealth in your life that you wish to live. And you've got to get over a few of those bad beliefs and thoughts you have. You know what? In order to have money, it's like having anything else. You've got to wake up and have a great, massive desire to make a change. Because if you don't have money, it's not what's comfortable with you. And it's like an old pair of shoes. If you've got an old pair of shoes, you might be perfectly happy just clip-clopping around in those, and you know they're not good for your feet, but you don't want to make a change. I'm a coach. I'm a therapist. We like for people to change, but most people don't like that. So I'm going to ask you to make a commitment tonight that as we go through this, that you are open and willing to change the way you think and act and believe about money. Any of us can do better than we're doing. And I'm going to challenge you, and she gets into this. Nobody serves the world well by being poor, because poor people just can't help anybody, not even themselves. You know, they're always trying to get by. But if you create, and, you know, this is, it's Spider-Man and the Bible, you know, with great wealth comes great responsibility. And I have given a lot of money away in my life, a lot. And if I had not made it, I would have not had that money to give away. So tonight, I want you to first start thinking about what your beliefs are and how you can create new opportunities and income streams to show up in your life. Because when you start believing it's possible, it happens, and you can do it, and it's better to do it now. And you don't have to work harder and harder. In fact, that is a real false belief, that you have to work your hardest to make money. So I'll give you a good example. I worked pretty hard last year, but come December, I had met my goals by the first week. And the last 2 years, in order to be Team Kaizen, I worked all of December and collapsed on the last day of the year. Well, this year I was like, you know what? I worked really hard and I made this, and it's okay. I'm going to have a good month. And there was a moment there I thought I might not even qualify. And I haven't not done that in years, but, you know, I'll be okay either way. Well, I not only qualified, I had better than 2 other months. And why? I wasn't worried about it. And people were still calling, and the things I'd put into action. So I'm going to tell you that you can make money by working smarter and not harder. And commit to yourself that you're going to allow the money to come. Now, one of the things you're going to have to used to, and I teach people this, I probably showed this to you, I do it to all my coaching clients, is fear. We're going to say this is fear. And this right one is excitement. And they are opposite sides of the same coin. So when you start getting afraid, and I'm going to tell you something, there's been a couple of times in my life that I looked in my bank account and I had an amount of money, not because it was so small, but because it was so large. And I went from excitement to fear. I was afraid. And that comes from those false beliefs. So I'm going to encourage you as you go through this book to always realize if you're feeling afraid, you can stop And you can talk to yourself and you can say, I don't want to be afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm really excited. Because what happens when you get excited? I love roller coasters. So my heart rate gets higher. I don't breathe quite, and I'm tingly and I'm ready to go. So when you're feeling that fear, flip it. And I want you to think about the money that you desire as being right here, right now. Right here, right now, because the Bible says, asking it shall be given, seeking you shall find, knocking the door shall be open. So I believe that God wants us to have what we want to have. Now, I believe that everybody on here is a Christian. If they're not, you can think universe. But I believe, my belief is with God, and he wants us to have what we want to have. But I think sometimes we go, no, not really, or, oh, I don't deserve that, or no. And you know what? He answers those prayers. So when you have an amount of money you want, you start seeing it as being there. You know, you want it, you know, and rich is a different amount for different people. But I'm going to tell you that you want for it to be a bigger amount than maybe you've ever thought. And what would happen if you had to be rich or one of your children would die? Would you try to make it happen?
Sure.
So there's also a book, it's a great book called The Science of Being Rich, and that's a good one to read also. I believe you deserve to be rich because you were put on this earth by God. I believe you deserve to be rich because I think it's a natural way to be. I believe that you deserve to be rich because you can help so many other people. But you've got to feed your desires and not your fears in order to reach that. You were born to thrive. You were born to be the best you that you can be and to be able to help others. And you can be the greatest you've ever been. You deserve to be rich. Don't settle. Go for the goal and flourish. Look at what you are believing. And if the beliefs don't support your being rich, then that's something we've got to work on. Where does fear come from? I'm going to tell you that if you've ever felt unloved or undeserving, and that a lot of times comes from things that happened at a home with our parents. I'm not blaming parents. Parents all do the best they know how to do. And some parents have illnesses and things where they just can't give but so much. That's usually where it comes from. And that's at the basis of fear. And when you're feeling undeserving, do you think you're going to attract much money? No, you're absolutely not. So getting rich and doing this work we're going to do in this book will not only help you attract money, it will help you attract many more of the things in your life that you want. Now, when you start thinking about money and the things, it takes money to have every opportunity that you want. You know, my dad used to say to me, Kimball, you know what, being rich isn't everything. But you know what? It can buy you a little bit better kind of toothpaste that'll make your mouth feel better. And you know, that's what it is. When you don't have money and you're scraping, a lot of times you cut out things. People cut out medical care. They cut out different things. So I want you to start once a day, starting and sitting and thinking and visualizing your life with the money in it and what you'll be doing. And I want you to do it for at least 5 minutes. Now, I'm doing this every morning now because you know me, I don't ever ask people to do anything that I'm not willing to be doing. So you close your eyes and you start seeing it. And this particular author says, see those dollar bills just floating in and floating around. I want you to say, I love money. In fact, everybody unmute yourselves right now. And I want you to say, I love money.
Love
I
money.
love money.
I love money.
I
love
love
money.
money.
Because money is nothing but a tool. Now, somebody with a lot of money can be a jerk, and somebody with no money can be a jerk. And somebody with a lot of money can be the kindest, most generous person in the world that does all kinds of wonderful things. And somebody that's poor can be, except the poor person is never going to be able to give as much because they don't have it. So we are going to work on this whole idea of changing your beliefs. people say, well, I have lots of talents I want to share. But is there any reason you can't share those talents if you have money? I want you to say this behind me. I am worth it.
I am worth it.
I am worth
I
it.
am worth it.
I'm great.
I'm great.
I'm great.
Great.
Thank you, God, for all the abundance you're giving me.
Thank you, God.
Thank you, God, for all the abundance you're giving me.
And here's your money mantra that you're going to work on this week. I love money because I love myself.
I love
I love money because I love myself.
Okay. So I want you all to get this book. And at the end of each chapter, it has a certain exercises you're going to do. And it's going to ask you to write why you deserve money. And just for tonight, I'm going to go through and I'm going to put each one of you on the spot and I'm going to call on you according to where I see you on my screen. It may not be. And so think for just a minute. I want you to think about why you deserve money. And I'll write my list because I decided, it said 10 to so many. I decided to do 10. All I want you to do is name one. I'm going to tell you what I named, and then I'm going to call you off and you tell me why you deserve money. And God made me to have what I want. I am generous. I'm a worker. I'm destined to do great things. I'm honest. I'm an agent of change. I make the world a better place. I am. I want it. I deserve it because I'm me. So MC is the first person I see. So MC, why do you deserve money?
Because I work harder than anyone else around me and get paid the same.
That's right. Shirley.
I work hard, have for a number of years, and continuing to do God's work. Service.
That's right. Kathy.
God has promised us abundance, and I am one of his children, and so I receive abundance.
Barbara.
Good.
I work too hard not to have money, so I deserve to be paid for what work I do. And God has blessed me, so he's looking out for myself.
Amen. Cece.
I deserve money because I have worked hard and I have these beautiful children and grandchild to provide for.
Absolutely. Patricia.
I deserve money because I have a lot to offer and it's a good exchange.
Absolutely.
Right.
Jeff, why do you deserve money?
Because God said I'm worthy, and I believe in myself, and I deserve to be rich.
Betty, why do you deserve money?
Who did you say?
Betty Wall.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because I have worked so hard and I am so worthy and I want so much to help others.
Excellent. Kara, why do you deserve to be rich?
Because I work really hard in everything I do.
That's exactly right. Those are wonderful. And then it's going to have you, we're not going to go in this tonight, but when you do the book, I really want you to do all these exercises. And once everybody's got the book, then I really want you to bring the exercises done when we have this. But you're going to make a list of 10 things that the world has because there was money. And I'll just tell you mine right now. I said the pyramids, air travel, cruising, hospitals, higher education, public education, movies, theater, cars, and air conditioning, because I don't like hot weather. So I'm really appreciative of that. But none of those things were created without money. And then you're going to have a chance to list all the awesome things that money can bring into your life. So there's going to be work in these, and this work as you're doing it, and I'm going to ask you to write it with your hand instead of typing it, because I love the brain and the neurotransmitters. And when you take a pen and you put it to paper and you write, it goes in and sticks in better than when we type it or we just speak it. Now, if you want to go even deeper, you can do your non-dominant hand. When I write affirmations or when I write my goals every morning, I write them with my left hand, and then it's going in my right brain. and it doesn't have the same protections that left brain does because I'm a right-brained person. So these are just little tidbits, but really write these out. And like I said, if you're just really a badass and you want to do it with your left hand so that you're going in or if you're left-handed, do it with your right hand. So it's going in that non-dominant hand. Now we're going on to chapter 2, and chapter 2 is rolling in the cheddar. So the realities are that if we believe that we will never have money, we won't. If you believe you're hot, you're hot. If you believe you're cold, you're cold. Now you may have a hard time with that, but I have created a new habit since the 31st of December. I do an 8-minute cold shower every morning. I had 2 friends that were doing it and I was learning about it. There's some health benefits. There's some great mental benefits. But one of the mental games that I do when I get into that cold shower, and if you all know, I live, we don't turn the heat on upstairs in my house because we like to sleep cold and we're under a Niken blanket, so it keeps us at the right. So it can be 50 degrees up there. So when I hop in that cold shower, trust me, it's cold. But when I'm in there, I think about the sun's coming down like it's a hot summer day and that cold air feels so good. And it flips the script for me. So beliefs are really important. And neuroscience have used beliefs to help end phantom limb pain. So I want you to know how strong this really is. And what they do is they take someone that's had a right arm or right leg amputated, and they have them look into a mirror. And there's this switch thing they do so that when they look in the mirror, they are seeing both limbs just like they were there. And then they ask them to squeeze the hand that's been amputated. Well, they squeeze the hand they still have, but in that mirror, it looks like the amputated hand is squeezing and letting go. And they talk to them about letting go of the pain. What do you think happens?
It probably goes away.
Help the pain.
Right.
It's messages from the brain.
Right. It's thoughts and beliefs. And neuroscientists use that. So you can use this at home. Wayne Dyer always said, change your thoughts, change your life. So that's what we're going, if you've ever said it, and don't say you haven't, because I know I have, I just can't make money. Can't make money.
You know what's way.
I can't sell X, whatever it is. I can't. Well, I promise you, if you're saying that, you're right. Henry Ford said it. Whether a man thinks he can or he can't, he's right. So if you believe that you can't, you just got to flip that. And whenever you hear yourself say, I can't, I want you to stop and out loud say, I can do it. I can do it. If you believe it, you can do it. Beliefs are the roots of everything. Mastering your mindset is the basis of everything. Beliefs about money, they're just huge. If your conscious mind, here's the deal. Your conscious mind might be saying, yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do it. But there's this other thing. And a lot of you know I'm a hypnotist and an NLP practitioner. But we've got that sneaky little subconscious mind. And let me tell you, the subconscious mind is way more in control than your conscious mind is. And if the subconscious mind believes that if you have money, that you'll be cut off from friends, or people will think you're bad, or, God won't think you're good, then it is never going to let you get it. So we've got to go a little deeper. And I like what she calls the subconscious mind, the little prince. And the little prince is running the show. Well, a little prince grows before you're about the age of birth to 7 years old. And between birth and 7, you don't have a reasoning. The only thing you're worried about then is survival. And so, if today you were to go home and for those that you're lucky enough, like I am, to have my parents still alive, and they said something about money and you go, oh, Dad's just being Dad. But when you were 5 years old, if your dad, you heard your dad and mom screaming and yell at each other, we don't have the money, we're never going to have money, we're always going to be poor, and that man that's got money, he's just horrible. You were like, oh God, I might not survive if I have money. So the little prince thought, I'm never going to have money because I'll die. And you don't even think about that now, but he's there. So you've got to get the little prince under control. You've got to change the beliefs and they go deep. And how do you do that? Well, one of the ways you do that is affirmations, saying stuff over and over and over again. And if you get up and you look in that mirror in the morning and you say, hey there, gorgeous, I just love you. You are beautiful. You are rich. You are changing the world. And I have the pleasure to know everybody on here. And all of you are people that are doing that. So I want you working on that. And if money scares you, then I will tell you there's something there in your subconscious and it's primal and you've got to let it go. You know, anytime you come out of and try to take a risk, the little prince, you know, hops up and says, you can't do this. Because the little prince wants to make sure you don't do anything that will hurt your survival. So we're going to have to get him under control. So you've got to have something that you want to do with the money that is bigger than your fear. You've got to find a way that you move past that. If you have those kind of feelings, though, you might get sick to avoid going to interview for a job that you really want. You might choose bad investments. You might just make bad choices about money. And then, you know, well, I didn't do it. It got lost some other way. But I'm going to challenge you that anything that you do wrong, you can do right. And every single one of you was a master at failure before you were 4 years old, because there's nobody on here, I don't think, that didn't walk before they were 4. I gave you a lot of leeway there because you were probably walking at 2. And you didn't get up and just walk across the room. You got up and you fell down. And then you got back up and you fell down and you kept going. And it doesn't matter how old you are. So Louise Hay is one of the greatest lights that I think ever came to the world. Louise Hay became a teacher in her 50s, and she had had a pretty tough life if you ever read about her. And then she got cancer and she didn't have the money for the surgery. And so she went and she healed her life and she wrote a book, You Can Heal Your Life. But at 61 years of age, Louise Hay created Hay House Publishing. She died when she was 91. And it's the largest self-help publishing company in the world today. And it goes on. She's been dead. Louise has been dead 3 or 4 years now. So you're never too old. You just have to change your beliefs and change your habits. It's always possible. We get really attached to the familiar. And that's why I want you doing that 5-minute-a-day exercise where you close your eyes and you see yourself. Your brain cannot tell the difference between what you're really doing and what you're thinking. We know that because sports psychologists in the 70s slapped on electrodes on athletes' heads. They ran marathons, they saw what their brains did, and then they slapped them on and they had them sit there and visualize themselves running marathons, and the same thing happened. Military's been using this for years. That's why they play war games. So you got to get into this of seeing and doing and feeling and believing about the money. And one of the things that may hold you back is a quest for security. And that belief that playing it safe and bringing security holds a lot of people back. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's a lie. There really isn't any security. That's what I tell people about jobs all the time. People that want to have a job, that job is only good enough for you as long as they need you. And I'm going to tell a story about one of my good friends that always wanted to be a Navy pilot. He graduated Carolina and he became a Navy pilot. And guess what? Not much was happening and they downsized him. And he was going to stay in. He wanted to be active forever. Well, they didn't need him as a pilot. So he went into the reserves, went to law school, And bless his heart, got pulled up so often with that the nice law firm that he had let him go because he kept being pulled back up. And he said, I thought I was never going to be in the Navy. And then I've spent all this time in it. But where was the security? The military didn't give him the security. They downsized him. And then the big law firm he got with, they got rid of him because the Navy kept pulling him back. So no matter what you think is secure, but when you build and invest in yourself, you can create something that is yours. Different streams of yours is a good thing. So security is not a real thing. You've got to let go of that fear that not taking action is a safe, because it's not. You are free to thrive in abundance. There are infinite possibilities. Allow yourself to really experience your desires. Now, so there we've been talking about the beliefs. Now we're going to talk about words, because beliefs influences our words. But if we change the words we're saying, we'll end up changing the beliefs. So if you say, oh, my memory is crap. Oh, I'm a klutz. Oh, I'm poor. My dad's thing for about 5 years is I'm getting old, so I just can't remember anything. And I'm like, stop, don't say it, because you'll bring it about. And I'll tell you, it has affected him the last 6 months. He's been in with my stepmom who's got dementia, and he keeps saying that. And I'm like, Dad, snap out of it. So now I'm calling and talking to him and getting him to do things, because if you talk about it enough, it's going to happen. So think about what your words are. If somebody tells a kid that they're stupid often enough, I don't care if they are doing algebra in kindergarten, they'll start believing they're stupid. So what comes out of your mouth, be very careful with it. The words define your reality. The first step is to get new words. Now, Einstein was pretty bright. I know I'm not near as bright as him, but he said that time was illusion, that past and future exist in the now, that this is the only moment, and that you can change that. So right now, you want to start changing those words. You want to get rid of hate, fear, dislike of money, any language that you use about that. I've got a new one, because the first thing that comes into my mind is dirty, filthy money. I've got a new one. It's pure, pristine money. Pure and pristine. Doesn't that sound fun? Who wants to have dirty, filthy money? You want to have pure, pristine money. That's how you'll get rid of that dislike. And whenever you see something, you say, I can afford it. I can afford it. I can afford it. Because we've already said everything is here. Don't worry about what's in your bank account. If it's something that you want, there will be a way. So just knock those off. Now, after we get through the words, then we go into thoughts. And she told a really good story. She was a little girl, and she always celebrated Christmas, but some German people lived down the road, and they told her that on like the 5th of December, they celebrated a different day. It was Saint Nicholas Day. And you had to put a shoe outside. So she put, and that it would be filled with gifts. So she took her clog and put it out there. Her mother found it, got mad with her, punished her. So she waited till everybody was asleep, and she put the clog out there. Well, of course, there were no presents in the next morning. But she thought that that's the way it would be. And then she got into all kinds of trouble again. But she acted on her thoughts. She was driven by her emotion, though. The emotion was, when she put that clog out there, she was thinking about that, what they were saying. But if she had waken up the next morning and that clog was full of toys, how happy would a kid be? You know, we can flip over cars when our ball team wins, can't we? People do it. I've been known to run down Franklin Street to see the bonfire in the middle of the street, way past, in fact, just a couple of years ago. If I know there's going to be a bonfire down there and we beat Duke, I'm down there. So we do crazy things, but why do we do it? I didn't do it because I was thinking about the stats. And those of you that have been around me long enough know that I'm watching the stats the whole time I'm watching a basketball game. I can't help myself. But when it's over, I'm not thinking about the stats. I'm thinking about the excitement. How much excitement do you have about having money? You know, oh yes, I'd really like to make an extra 50,000 a year. That's not excitement. If you made an extra $50,000 a year, what could you do for your family? What could you do for yourself? What could you do for the charities? My church is $80,000 in the hole this year. We are not making our budget. I'm about to go in and up my ante on my giving. You know, what could we do? I would love to have the money where I could just call Pullen and say, hey, I'll take care of that. And would that be something to be excited about?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So think the thoughts, but when you think them with excitement. You got to have a little life there. Now, this was a really good way, the way she talked about this. She says that beliefs drive the bus. Your beliefs take the bus where it's going to go. So if you know you're going to go to the top, and I'll tell you this, Jeff and I have been Team Kaizen 3 years. And every one of those years, I believed I could do it. There's been 2 years ago, we didn't get it. In the beginning of the year, when they said what we had to do, my thought was, I don't think I can do that. Guess what? I was right. Now, I worked hard that year, but the bus didn't take me there because that wasn't the destination I believed I could get to. So the thoughts drive the bus. I mean, the beliefs drive the bus. Then the thoughts are your tour guide. And the thought, she does whatever she wants and she's in control. So she's going to tell you how it's all going to go. So if you believe you're going to get there, the thoughts are going to control a lot of that. So your beliefs and your thoughts need to work together. Now, your words are your assistants to your belief. So as we go on this journey on our bus trip to being a badass at making money, your words have got to be, I make money all the time. Money comes from me to all directions effortlessly. I want you to be saying these things. You got to get these there. Now, the emotions are the fuel. I mean, that's the rocket fuel. And I'm going to tell you that you can make yourself feel excited even if you don't. Every morning when I hop in that cold shower, Eye of the Tiger is playing. It's an 8-minute shower, so I play it 2 times. Twice all the way through is 8 minutes. And when Eye of the Tiger is going, I am pumped. So I really believe, you know, every superhero has his music. So you find some music that's right for you that can get you going. And when you don't have that right emotion to fuel that, then you have got to get it. So these are the things that you're going to be working with as you change all of this. Your emotion, you got to have the emotion to get you going. Now, remember, for those of you that want to do this with Nikin, Latin America had a 240% increase last year in 1 year. So the ability is there. They make less money over there and our products are more expensive. So you want to get your beliefs, your thoughts, your words and emotion together. You've got them, and you can do it other ways. I mean, people make money all different kinds of ways. There's not just one thing, but we have the ability, but you've got to get your head in the right place. If you're believing people won't take you seriously, they won't. If you say, I love money and it comes to me easily, you'll start believing it. But you've got to work on it. You've got to work on all of those things together. Now, the thoughts are the most important. And I'm going to give you all, I don't do therapy with you all, but I'm going to tell you something even when I coach people, I do. If you are really into what I call stinking thinking, I want you to get a rubber band that is not too tight, and I want you to put it on your wrist. And when you have one of those thoughts about this will never work, I can't have money, blah, blah, I want you to pop yourself. Not enough to break the skin, but I do want it to hurt. And then I want you to say, money's attracted to me. I love money. I'm a money magnet. This is going to work. Because you will be training your thoughts. Nobody continues to do any behavior that causes him pain. Now you have to really want the change, because you're going to have to go through that. But that is one of the best ways. Now, if you can do it without it, I highly recommend it. I really don't like to be ouchy. But if you try to get this under control, and we know over here, there is no try, either do the thing or you don't do the thing. You just do it. This is going to be a transformational book for you. Awareness is that first step of change. I want you to become awareness of the thoughts you're thinking about money, the feelings you're having, the beliefs you've got. You've got to become aware of those limiting beliefs. You know, what makes you happy? For me, it's being with family. So is there any reason that having money would make that not good?
No, it'd make it fun.
Yeah, one of my goals is taking my whole family on an amazing vacation every year. It's to take my son and my daughter-in-law to Africa, where her father's from, and she's never been. I want to take them on a trip there. Jeff told me the other week he wants to go to India. I never really thought about it. I'm ready. So in order to do those things with my family, we've got to have the money. I love having a business. It's way better to have a business that you're making money with. I love getting massages. They don't give those away. You know, everything that you do, if you've got money, you can usually do more of it. So just work on changing those and work on rewording the thought. If you think, you know, I don't, money's bad, or I don't want money. Money supports my happiness. Money isn't happiness. Money's just a tool. Right. You can have all the money in the world, and if you're a miser and don't spend it, don't give it to anybody, don't do anything like that, it's no good. So money supports your happiness. I'd rather focus on having fun than making money. That's something that sometimes people say. What about if it's fun when you make money? Now, if you're doing a job you hate, but one of the things I love, and I can still hear Dave Johnson saying this, he says, every time a product moves, life is changed for the better. So, you know, think about it's fun making money, you know, and it's worth it. It's worth it to change these beliefs. It's possible for you to have a purpose that brings you money and makes you happy all at once. And you can also say, I make making money fun. And I want you to play with whatever negative comes into your mind, figure a way that you're going to flip it around. You know, but you want it to be fun and uplifting. And I also am going to challenge you a little bit, and I'm a hard worker. I've always been taught that it's okay if you make money and it's not hard. And that sometimes you can make money and it's not hard at all. I'm going to challenge you on that because, you know, it's a lot more fun when it's not quite as hard. Of course, if you're having fun, it doesn't feel hard. Some people say, well, you can't be rich and be spiritual. And you might change that to spiritual people who are rich are able to help so many more people. So you can go on and on in all of these things, but I love money and money loves me. And then there's going to be a thing where you're going to list 5 things that you remember your parents telling you about money. And then you're going to work with that a little bit, because that most likely, and I was raised by my grandmother who lived through the Depression. So you can only imagine. I mean, when I first left home, I washed Reynolds wrap and reused it. And then one day I heard Oprah explain that she did that, and there was a food person on there, and they said, you should never do that. There's germs all over that Reynolds wrap.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I stopped doing it, and I was thinking, why was I doing that? Reynolds wrap is really cheap. But Grandma always saved every single piece and washed it. And so I did the same thing. Now I'm like, I can afford it. It's good. Now, 2A, this is the last part, and this is the God part. She calls it universal intelligence. I'm calling it God. I think everybody on here believes that there is something bigger in this world than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that God is always looking out for you. And God can do things that we can't do. And with God, anything is possible. And there's these little things I call God winks. Like last week, I was just thinking about this woman that I had some interaction with a couple of years ago, and she's moved away. And guess what? My phone rang today, and there was her name. She might come to our meeting tomorrow night to hear more about Nikan. I was like, wow. And we just had a really good time catching up. Or I'll think about something I should do, and I do it, and then everything just works together. The same thing is true of money. And I got to thinking that when I was younger, and I'll tell you a story, I might have told this before. So I got out of graduate school and I opened my own practice, but I was contracting with Rex Home Services running their in-home psych program. And I hated it, and they were working me to death, and it was kind of miserable. And so one morning I was driving along and I said, God, if you want me to get out of here, I've got 5 children. I've got a mother-in-law who's dying. I've got to have some guaranteed income. You've got to show me where I can have $10,000 to $12,000 over the next 3 months, and I will turn in my resignation. And I'm driving along, and about 15 minutes later, the phone rings, and there's a woman that used to work with me. He offered me a consulting job to set up a psych home health program in Fayetteville. And guess what she offered me? It'll be $10,000 to $12,000 over the next 3 months. Talk about God saying, all right,
Yeah.
put your actions where your mouth was. Well, I did. I drove back over that afternoon and I handed in my resignation and went home and told my husband I was doing that. But, that's it. And I thought about it. I think that it was easier for me to believe and do then. So that's where working on these beliefs will bring things. And you've got to be able to believe that God can make these things happen. Most people define reality as their 5 senses. But I'm going to tell you that our senses lie to us. Faith is more important than those senses. Because you know what influences our 5 senses? Everything we've done in the past. Every time you've ever failed at anything, all of that stuff, the way you see, smell, taste, hear, all of that is related to that. There was a great movie a few years ago. Well, it wasn't a great movie, except that it showed how we've lived defines everything. It was called Vantage Point, and the president got killed 5 or 6 times because you watched the same thing happen through 5 or 6 different people's eyes. And guess what? It looked different when every single one. And that's because everything that we see and hear and all of that, it's being shaded by what we've been through. That's why eyewitness testimony is the worst in court, because what you see may be what you expect to see and not what's really there. So I'm going to be asking you to step out in faith as we study this book. I want you to think about the strength of your thoughts and your beliefs. Everything is vibrational energy. I'm going to show you something, and Patricia will like this. This is my little thing of doTERRA peppermint oil, because, God has a sense of humor. So about 4 weeks ago, he had me start testing week on all caffeine, even what's in green tea. And that's really sad, because when I get tired, I go for my green tea. But I have become a peppermint huffer. And I have my little peppermint here. And every time I'm getting tired, I just, and then I'll put on my hand lotion. I'll put some on it, and I can sit here like this when I'm talking to somebody. I'm just breathing that peppermint away, and it's getting me all energized. So there's always another way. But we've got to take care of ourselves, and we've got to keep ourselves energized. And there's always different ways. We've got to, and my belief was, it was like, oh God, what am I going to do when they said, when I wasn't testing good for caffeine, because I knew I couldn't do it because I was having some issues with my guts and it was making it happen. And I thought, okay, let me try the peppermint, because I know I've done it here and there. I changed. I'm not even thinking about coffee now. I just think about my peppermint. I'm going to have to call Patricia in a few weeks and get another bottle. Those are going. So all of our belief systems can change. We don't have to be limited. We just got to believe that things will get better. Nothing comes to be in our thought system, though. It's through the faith. I don't really believe we do much at all on our own. And I think when we try, we usually fall flat on our faces. But if we give it up to God, then God can make it happen. And I believe, and this is my belief, and yours may be different, but when I said I deserve money because I am is one of my meditations. And I am because God said I am that I am. And I am that I am is inside of us. Because if we're Christian and we invited God to be in our lives, then God is within us. He's not an old man up in the sky. He's inside of us. So when we want to do something, who are we to say we can't do it? Is that saying God can't do it? I'm just asking questions. You can feel differently, but I want you to think about that because I believe that you are powerful beyond belief. I think that we are all more powerful than we want to believe, but we've got to just step out on that faith. And you've got to do that with money. And I'm going to tell you, I chose to become a board member of Faces, which is a nonprofit in my town this year, because I know that we are getting ready to go into the worst time for people that live in poverty that we ever have. The worst thing that they could have possibly done was to not let them, kick anybody out. People have not had to pay rent for a year and they couldn't evict them. And so what's about to happen? And I mean, we keep pushing it out another month. And thank God I don't own rental property. I was really sad I sold my rental property till this happened last year. And then I was like, oh, thank you, God. You helped me make that decision. And boy, was that the right one. Because if you don't own a property outright and you got people renting, this past year would have been a monumental horror story. Mm-hmm. There's going to be so many people that are going to be evicted. And then with an eviction, you can't get a place. I mean, there's a lot that's about to happen. And so if you're doing well in whatever you're doing, then you're going to have the ability to help. I chose to get on Faces because I want to be a part of that board and I want to be helping the people in my community. Through your mind and your thoughts and those beliefs will inspire you to take action. And you've got to take action. Now, I'm going to tell you that you can sit and wish all you want. But if you're not doing something, nothing's going to change. And in fact, I hear people sometimes say, well, manifesting doesn't work. Prayer doesn't work. Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. If all you do is sit in your seat and you pray and you don't do anything else, it ain't going to happen. One of my favorite jokes is about the woman that the floodwaters were rising and first the car came, then the boat came, then the helicopter came, and then she met Jesus. And she was mad because she died. And he said, look, I sent a helicopter. I sent and you didn't do anything. You've got to do something and you've got to believe it will work. If you have a desire, if you have a burning desire, then I want you to be saying it every day. And I want you to thank God that you have it. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I say, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. And then I come out with things I'm thankful for. And before I go to bed at night, I think of three different things that I didn't say I was thankful for at least last 2 or 3 nights. Because when you are in a vibration of gratitude, just like this peppermint is a good vibration and it raises my vibration. Now, lavender, I'm drinking the tea with lavender and chamomile now because I'm going to bed after this. I'm bringing my vibration down. The foods we eat, the things we drink, the smells we smell, the magnets and the things we use, they change our vibration. We know about this. You've got to get your vibrational. And I will tell you, if you will sit and just think money, money, abundance, abundance, money, they're high frequency vibrations. Broke is low. You want to work on those vibrations, and you want to be working on those vibrations every day. And when you are able to master your mindset about money, you're going to see a lot of things change. So this week, I want you to be focusing on the thoughts of the wealth you deserve. See yourself rolling in money. See yourself just rolling in it. Feel how it feels to be in the financial flow. Vibrate at that high frequency. Figure out what it is that gets you up there. I know the pieces of music that get me vibrating there. Listen to them. Write out a check to yourself with the amount of money that you want to make. Write that check out and look at it. And work on your little 5 minutes every morning. God can deliver what you want. And keep your thoughts in check.
Sherry tells me to, if you say the wrong words that you shouldn't have said, to say cancel clear.
Yeah,
Clearing that thought
cancel,
out and
clear,
say what
erase.
you need.
That's right. That's right. She's exactly right. She's exactly right. In order to get where you want to go, and when you start really depending on God and working on these things, you're going to see a lot of what we call synchronicities. And those are things that just show up and happen, and you had no idea they were going to happen. The things that are going to be important is the inspiration. What do you do to inspire yourself? The desire. You've got to feed that desire. You've got to want it and see it and believe you already have it. You've got to believe that those synchronicities and coincidences are going to happen. And when you start doing this, I promise you that things are going to show up. Now, you do not have to know the how. In fact, you probably won't. When I prayed that prayer to God, oh my gosh, how long ago was that? That was about 1997. When I prayed that prayer, I didn't have anything out there that could bring me $10,000 to $12,000. That was a significant amount of money. But that's what I was making, doing a side gig hustle within. That was a significant amount of money. I had no idea where that was going to come from. And maybe even a little bit when I said it, I was thinking, there's no way. But you know what? God made a way. And he will. So you've got to accept that it can happen. And just look for it and believe it's going to happen. Act as if it's already there. Now, each one of these chapters, like I said, when you start reading it, I will guarantee if you've done much reading in this kind of thing, you're going to see things you've heard before, but she's good. She's got a great way. And I will tell you that this is a woman that at 40 years old was living in a garage apartment and didn't have money when she got into this writing. So she's somebody that changed her life. I really like reading books by people that have done it. I don't like so much people that, but she did it. She made a different life, and she lets you know it doesn't matter if you're 20 and it doesn't matter if you're 80. You can do it. And I always love to tell the story of Jim Starnes. I met Jim Starnes probably about 10 years ago at a Niken event down in Florida. And he rolled in on his electric scooter, and we got to talking. And what was the synchronicity in this is that morning before we went down, Jeff had put on a suit coat. He doesn't keep things in his coat. And he pulled out, and it was a program from Betty Starnes' funeral. And I didn't go to it with him. A friend of ours preached her funeral and called up Jeff and said, hey, can you ride with me to Atlanta? I got to preach a funeral. And I don't want to drive down. I'm going to drive down and back in one day, and I'm afraid I won't be safe. Would you go with me? And Jeff went. Well, when we went to Niken, this guy comes in and he starts talking to me, and he offers to take us to lunch. And so we go, and he's talking to us. And as we're talking, He said, did you know my wife, Betty? And my mouth dropped open. And I said, Betty Starnes? And he said, yeah. And I said, no, but my husband went to her funeral. And so we told him the story. Well, that was the same day I met him. He said, let me tell you something, Kimball. Don't ever stop Nikin. Nikin is going to be really good to you. And I know that it is. He said, I grew up and wanted to be a lawyer. So I went to law school, and then World War II came along and I had to go fight. He said, and I fought and I came home and I made 5 children during that war. He made good on the times he was home while he was in the military. He said, so I got out, and when you were a lawyer, a law firm gave you a desk and you had to get all your own clients. He said, I couldn't feed all those babies. He said, so I went into real estate. And then he owned his own real estate brokerage. And then he opened his own mortgage brokerage. And then he became a bank president. And when he retired was just before the bank that he was president of became Bank of America. He said, so when I was 71 years old and my wife came in and she said, I'm doing Nikin. And he said, yeah, honey, when you can show me a check that's got commas in it, he said, then I'll pay attention to you. And she said, okay. So then one day she walked in and she says, this check has commas in it. He said, Kimball, I'm 94 years old and I've made more money doing Nikin than I've ever made in my life.
Isn't that something?
He said, and I was 71 years old when my wife started, and she had passed away and he was still doing, he lived in an assisted living and was doing Nikin till he died.
That's pretty good.
He was something else. So don't ever, so this is what I really believe that every one of us needs this book. I believe this book was brought to me because that's what we needed, because I've been praying that we got something to work with that would inspire us all. And now here's the next thing. We can go on to chapters 2 and 3 next week. Or one of the things that kind of came to me over the weekend was we could also choose to make this call for the weeks that we're studying this, something where you can invite people who want to get more comfortable with money. And we're not going to preach Nikin or try to get anybody to join anything like that, but just people that want to know more about changing their money attitude. So you can invite anybody to join in and they can be a part of this. If we do that, then I'm going to redo this one next week and then we'll flow through with that. But I'm open to whatever. We can go right on to chapters 3 and 4 next week. Now it's time for me to shut up and I want to hear your input. MC, you're muted,
You're
but
muted.
your mouth is moving.
I was saying that right off the bat, I can think of 5 people that I would invite right away and would probably come.
Okay. Well, with that, if you've got 5 people, I'd say we redo chapter 1 and 2 next week. I just think that this will be a lot of fun. The heart of Masuda is about giving to others. That's what Masuda was all about. And I think that one of the real reasons that we have the amount of poverty is that we don't teach this kind of thinking and those limiting beliefs. So is everybody good with that? Okay.
Fine with me.
All right. So invite as many people as you want. It'll be this same link. It'll be at 9:00 next week. Let's have fun with it. And then I'm going to need some people for those other chapters. So get your book, take a look, and let me know if you're interested in doing some teaching. And we're going to do 2 a week. And that way, because if we do that, we'll go through it a little bit quicker.
Okay.
The book is available on Audible as well as in paperback and all. And I'll tell you, for me, if I'm teaching something, I told Kathy this morning, I'm old school. I still need a paper book. But I actually listen to it on Audible. When I go back and I'm looking at the things I want to pull and the exercises, I just like to have something like this. Any comments about the things we talked about tonight? Anything that meant anything to you? I'd love to hear it.
I think it's great because, we tend to forget to think, change to the positive or to think we can do things. Because I know I put myself down. So, if we do it and get in the habit of it, I think we would do so much better and be happier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It really, we don't really realize, and I don't think our parents really realized, or my grandmother realized, and people that lived through the Depression, it was a tough time. But they didn't realize how those beliefs would limit us.
Yeah. Well, we grew up, we didn't have a lot, and I only had with my one parent. So, it was a struggle for my mother, but she tried to not show it to us, but we knew it,
Yeah.
Well, and we're going through our own depression right now.
Oh, we are.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, what's funny is that I thought that we were poor. I thought my grandmother was poor. I didn't realize until years later that my grandmother had a ton of money in the bank.
Really?
Oh, yeah. She had enough that my mother and my uncle lived off of that money after she died for another 30 years.
Wow.
Wow.
And my grandmother
Unreal.
and my uncle, she was an enabler, and my uncle was an alcoholic and bipolar. But I found the checks where in 1996 she gave him $7,000 in 1 year. That was a ton of, and I never had a dishwasher because she couldn't afford it. And I learned something from that. I said, as God is my witness, I will never live without a dishwasher. And I've lived in 2 or 3 places, and I had those little mobile ones that you have to take over to the, because I was never going to be without a dishwasher because my grandma, but you know what? I didn't realize she had the money, but it was her belief system. In her belief, she was still poor.
Yeah.
Did Patricia want to say something?
Patricia.
Well, I was thinking I've done a lot of this reading. I've been to a lot of presentations. I think you did a really great job. And what struck me was the fact that I have finally come to understand what you said about it's really all about our action. It finally, beside everything else is important and we need to recognize it. But the bottom line, nothing changes if we don't change the behavior.
Right.
We have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. No, go on, Kathy.
We had a speaker at one of our conventions that said, pray like it all depends on God, but work like it all depends on you. And that when you were talking about the Bible just a little bit ago, it made me think faith without works is dead.
Absolutely.
So if we pray expectantly, then we should be willing to be working as well.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that the next week's doing this is going to be a lot of fun. I think that we will all learn a lot about ourselves. And I think that we will all come out of this with a much better prosperity mindset and prosperity actions. We're going to get those buses going in the direction that we want them to. And we're going to have lots of enthusiasm to keep them going. Now, for those of you that are interested, tomorrow night is our Laugh, Learn, and Energize at 7:00. And our speaker is going to be the lovely Barbara Milliken tomorrow night. So be sure to invite some people to hop on and hear about this. Reminder for those of you that have water systems, air systems, all the filters for the waterfall and the air filter are on sale. And you also want to let your customers know about that, because now is the time to buy those things, because they won't be on sale again like this until next year at the same time. Also, they have a really neat Valentine's pack that has the Ciaga, which I love and do a couple of times a day, Regestrol, which I love because that got that moved my husband from being pre-diabetic to not being anything but normal. And those are both 20% off. And on top of that, you'll get the Kinko heart locket and the Kinko heart earrings, which is a cute.
I ordered mine.
Woo, you go, girl.
Yep.
You go. So I think now they may run out of those earrings and hearts. So if you want it, because it's while supply lasts, so go ahead and get those. But that makes a really, and we are Heart Health Month. And I would encourage you on Friday to take your Ciaga and wear your red, your Ciaga and your Regestrol, wear your red and do a Facebook Live on your Facebook. People it's Heart Health Day, it's Heart Health Awareness Day, and we know that heart attacks kill more women than cancer. So we women need to be thinking about that. Wear your red and talk about these two products because they are great for helping build a healthy heart.
Is tomorrow on this same Zoom meeting site?
Believe it always is. I don't post that, but I believe that is correct. Let me look. It's on Facebook. And if you all will go on Facebook and be sure to, I put it up on Wellness Solutions today, share it. I will make sure to send it to you to make sure you've got it, Patricia. I think it is, but
Thank you.
I will work on that right now. Anybody else have any kind of problem or anything that I can help you with tonight?
No, I just need to ask just one question. Did he
Okay.
send me a friend request?
Jeff, did you send Shirley a friend request? Jeff, I can't hear you.
Today, no, not today, a while back.
I got
Well,
one from you today.
It showed up on mine today.
Okay,
So
then
if it's you, I can accept it.
Well, but when I did, it was way back when you were trying to get your Facebook set back up.
has anybody else gotten one from him? Because
It
you might have
wasn't
been
me
hacked.
today.
Yeah, I got one today. I got one today.
Okay, then Jeff, you need to change the password, your password on Facebook because you've been hacked.
Yeah, I forgot that because I thought I was already friends with him. I got one today.
Okay, he's been hacked.
Okay. Well, that same thing with Lauren, earlier in the week, I was thinking, I was friends with Lauren, but it came up like I wasn't friends with her. So I clicked on it. I wonder if maybe that wasn't when it happened.
Yeah, that's probably when it happened. That's probably when it happened.
Okay.
Sorry.
It happens. It happens.
No,
Yeah.
thanks for telling me.
Yeah, yeah, because
Because I was thinking, I thought Jeff was already, on there. So I better ask before I, do this.
I think it is Shirley.
Yep, that was very good thinking.
Can I ask one question real quick?
You
I
sure
tried-
can.
I was trying to do a live on my Choose Health now,
Uh-huh.
but it don't come up as it doesn't give you that option. Now I can do it on my regular Facebook page.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me share my screen and I'll go in and show you how. Let's see. Share. Then I'll get it in here. Let me see. Let me go to wellness. All right. Now, does your Facebook look like mine? Because that may be the other thing. It's because because see on mine, this is my business page, and then
Right.
create, and there's it just has create, and you've got events and all of that, and you can go right there live, or you can go here. Okay, well, let me show you all. Let me show you all. Oh, you see where the dots are? That's where it'll come up at. go by those dots. And now I can't see because, hang on. Well, it doesn't come up there.
Pretty
Well,
sure
I
you have
coulda
to click on the live next to the create. At the, yeah,
That's
get
where
out
you
of
gotta
there.
do it. Let me show
Yeah,
you all
that's where you
something
start
that,
the
let me
live.
show you something that I use now. It's called the Creator Studio. And I use it to do all of my posts. And I'm behind right now because I usually try to, I'm working and my goal is to be a week ahead.
That's what I do.
All right, so with Creator Studio, it's a little bit different. And it's free. And it keeps up with all of your whatever's going on. You can look at your performance and all. But the way I go live, are you seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I hit go live, there, it just carries them and I choose which page I want to do it to.
Oh.
And then it's just there. And the cool thing about the Creator Studio is like you can create a post. And I go to Wellness Solutions today, and you'll just have your one. But you could, and I do 5 posts a day. And so it allows me to put the things up, like there'll be one at 6 in the morning. Like, I've been really, have you turned down your lights? And are you getting ready for a deep night's sleep? And you can add a picture if you want or whatever, but then you can come over here. And so instead of publishing, if I want to go right now, I'd hit publish, but I hit schedule. And then I want it to be,
Oh, that's neat.
I'll say it's 10:33.
Favorite.
And then I keep having to move you all because I can't get to where I'm at, and then hit schedule. And so at 10:33, that'll go. So you can schedule your things ahead of time, and it's absolutely free. And then you can go into the insights and see. And so I do all of my stuff from there.
How do you add that on to your Facebook? Do you just, is it an app or what is it?
No, now here's how I do it. I go just Google Facebook Creator Studio. It's that you have it. If you have a business page, you've got it.
Okay.
And see, then it gives me, like, I had 212 minutes of viewing on this week. I had 46 1-minute video views, 222 3-second video views, 27 video engagements. And then
Okay.
one person unfollowed me and one person followed me. So it was a wash, but.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good then. I'll Google that and see if I can do that.
Yeah. I think that if you get in the habit of using it, that you'll really like it. I took a course with Jenny Migley on it, and she is amazing with Facebook, and I learned so much from it.
Well, good.
Anybody got anything else I can help them with tonight? Let me stop my screen share.
How do we get someone on the daily text for the sizzle call? Like, can I add someone, or do I have to send?
You have to see. You have to, if they're a consultant. I've never gotten anybody added on the reminder for it. What I've always done is, if there's a good one, then I just send that to somebody. I think as consultants you can be on it, but I don't know that you can add somebody that's not a consultant. But that's a really good question.
I think when
On what are you adding it to?
The sizzle.
Dave Johnson,
That's Dave Johnson's thing. Dave does that.
yeah, I
Oh.
texted Dave when MC signed up, and he put her right on, and said he remembered meeting her. So, I don't know what the requirements are, but he was very happy to put you on, MC.
Any consultant can go on. I just don't know that if he adds people before the consultants. I guess he could.
That's fine. I mean, I had 2 people on there last night. I just, because of my work schedule, I can't always check it in time to give someone, like, an hour warning.
Right.
I mean, it's gonna go every night, but different topics are of interest to
Yeah.
different.
Absolutely.
Right.
Don't always have time to be on my phone, at 3 o'clock or whatever. So that's just why I asked.
Well, I think part of the problem is that a lot of times we don't get somebody scheduled. The people that do it don't always get the stuff scheduled way in advance. We probably should schedule those things out a couple of weeks. And that's not usually the way it is. But that is something to think about. I'll talk with Dave about it.
And it doesn't have to be several weeks in advance, just like 2 extra hours earlier would kind of be helpful. But I mean, it's partially just because I'm on the West Coast, and as soon as I'm on the East Coast,
it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
like
Yeah, because a lot of times, it doesn't go up. That makes a lot of difference. All right, I'll talk with him about that.
When I'm
Patricia's, sorry,
Patricia?
did Patricia still have something to say? And then MC, I'm sorry, didn't mean
No,
to interrupt you.
Her hand is just still raised, but
Her hand's still up, okay.
Oh,
So you can finish your sentence, MC, I'm sorry.
you're fine. I was just gonna say that I can make most of these calls when I'm on the East Coast because of the time difference. Because I'm 3 hours earlier, that's why it ends up being very hard for me.
understand. I'll talk with Dave and Valerie about it. All righty, guys, if you hadn't got anything else, it was great seeing you. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow night at 7. Now, I will be popping right on at 7. So if somebody else gets on fast, it'll be fine because I have got a client from 6 to 7 tomorrow night. My plan is to end that at 5 till and hop right on, but just know that I won't be on much early tomorrow night. All righty, I'll see you guys later.
All
Good night.
right. Good night.
Bye-bye.